वैष्णव की जय, नामाचार्य श्री ठाकुर की जय। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेव। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेव। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया, भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिके। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी, वृषभानुसुते नमामि हरिप्रिये। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। राम राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse number 21. यदात्मनि निरालोकम् आत्मानं च निरक्षतः, निर्भिन्नेक्षिणे तस्य ज्योतिश्चक्षुर्गुणग्रहः। यदात्मनि निरालोकम् आत्मानं च निरक्षतः, निर्भिन्नेक्षिणे निर्भिन्नेक्षिणे तस्य ज्योतिश्चक्षुर्गुणग्रहः। reformation of the conditioned soul. That is the only purpose. But very few people know the purpose of this creation. And one among such great personality is Avadhuta Brahman. He also understood the purpose of this creation. So he learned many life lessons from this creation. So he learned many lessons. The first is from the earth. What lessons he learned from the earth planet Bhudevi? Hmm. So, tolerance. It is a personification of tolerance. All the demonic human beings, they are always harassing the earth planet by deep digging oil plus atomic explosions, then air pollution, water pollution, deforestation. So in this way, they are constantly harassing Mother Earth. But still, Mother Earth, despite of all these disturbances, is always ready to supply all the necessities of the living. So therefore, one can learn this principle of tolerance from Mother Earth. So devotee must understand that this world is filled with aggressors, and therefore they will continue their mischievous activity. But devotee should be distracted from the path of bhakti. So one should learn this uh, tolerance from Mother Earth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explains in Chaitanya Chittastakam, Trinangapi Sunechena Taruriva Sai, Kirtanya Sada Hari. One should become more humble than a blade of grass and more tolerant than the trees. Prabhupada writes in one of the purport that the greatness of a person is estimated by his power or by his ability to tolerate the provoking situation. And the definition Prabhupada gives. So, one time Alan Keynes was Prabhupada and he accused Prabhupada. He said, "Stop, you are very strict. You are the most merciful person." So if you see in our entire parampara of Gaudiya Sampradaya, Prabhupada is most lenient, most liberal, most merciful Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful than Krishna. Nityananda Prabhu is more merciful than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the followers of Nityananda Prabhu sometimes they are more merciful than Nityananda Prabhu. So if you see Srila Prabhupada, how he tolerated others, sadhaka, yogas, whatever it's called. One time Prabhupada was in and he had kept him some vegetables in the refrigerator. And he also keep the same plate piece of meat. But Prabhupada tolerated it. So Prabhupada endured many tolerances, many sufferings on behalf of conditioned souls. So His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj also, he mentioned one time in his class that one should not become angry to the instrument of one's karma. That means one should tolerate. Prahlad Maharaj, he also tolerated all the sufferings given by his father, and he also forgave his father. One of the beautiful point our Acharya writes, when we try to learn to tolerate, when we learn to tolerate, then one can develop
further qualities. One can develop within our heart further qualities. And what is that? One can control our material desires, one can control our bad vices, and one can cultivate the quality of forgiveness. So, if we want to cultivate these three qualities, forgiveness, also becoming free from all the bad voices, then one must learn to tolerate. So, even in Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Matra sparshaastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apayino anityastam titikshasva bharata. That we must learn to tolerate these sufferings. Saubhari Muni, without any reason, he cursed Garudji in Vrindavan Dham. Garudji tolerated it and forgave him. Urvasi, when Arjuna had gone to heavenly planet, Urvasi cursed Arjun to become a eunuch. But Arjun tolerated it and forgave her. So you will find so many examples in our scriptures. Shringi, the small boy, Brahmin boy, he cursed Parishit Maharaj to die within 7 days. Parishit Maharaj had the power to counteract or counter curse, but he didn't do that. He tolerated it and he forgave Shringi. We also know Durvasa Muni. He tried to kill Amrish Maharaj, but Amrish Maharaj tolerated it and forgave Durvasa Muni. And one of the classical example of tolerance, Draupadi Mai's 5 sons were killed by Ashwathama. Their dead bodies were lying in front of Draupadi. She was pitifully crying. Arjuna and Bhima brought Ashwathama in front of her. She could have said, kill him immediately. But within even that painful condition, she said, forgive him. So just imagine, without becoming a devotee, one can never cultivate these qualities of forgiving. Tolerating and forgiving, there is a difference. Tolerating means without any desire you are just tolerating. But forgiving means when there is all the remorses are removed from the heart, then that forgiveness appeared. So Draupadi Mai, no yogi or a dhyani or any person can show these qualities. Only by the mercy of Sri Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that heart becomes very soft and that compassion arises in one's heart, then one can forgive others. Even Krishna himself, he tolerated so many demons. Shishupal, every day he would give abusive words to Krishna. Krishna tolerated throughout his life. Finally, on the day of Rajasuya Yagya, when Shishupal crossed that 99 words, then he completed 100 abusing words, then Krishna killed him. Just imagine the tolerating power of Sri Krishna and all his devotees. Even he is tolerating every day all the atheists, they accept they receive all the resources from Krishna, food, water, everything, and then they go against Krishna. But still Krishna provides them food and shelter every day. That is Krishna's tolerating power. When Indra sent torrents of rain and thunderbolt, Krishna protected all the Brajavasis under the Govardhan hill. But Govardhan was facing directly the wrath of Indra. Then how did Govardhan tolerate that? Simply by the touch of Krishna's lotus finger. Govardhan was empowered and he tolerated all those storms and Vajra. Similarly, if we really want to tolerate anything or anyone, then we need the blessings of Krishna, our sadhana and blessings of Krishna, then we also get that empowerment of tolerating others. So this is the first lesson Avadut Brahman learned from the earth. The second is air or a wind. Air or a wind is all pervading. All the material objects are included within the sky. They are all residing within the sky or space. But space is not mixed with all the material objects. That is a special quality of a sky or a space. It's all pervading everywhere, but it's not there in every object. So similarly, the devotees learn that Krishna, when we perform any activities, whether it is a pleasing situation or disgusting situation, one should try to learn and be equipoised. Just like Krishna is present everywhere. One time when sage Rishi, he was traveling, so he met with one prince, Rajkumar, and he gave him blessings, Chiram Jiva or Chiram Jiva. You better live forever. You never die, you live forever. Then he went ahead and then he met with Muni Kumar or a brahmachari. Then he gave him a blessings, Ma Jiva. You don't live. Immediately you should die. Then he went ahead. Then he met with one butcher, animal killer. He gave him a blessings, Ma Jiva, Ma Mara. You neither live nor die. And finally, he met with one very great saintly lady. She was a housewife, but very advanced Vaishnavi. Then he gave her a blessings, Jivo va Marova. Whether you live or die, it doesn't matter. So now the disciple who was always traveling with his guru, he asked for the explanation. Why did you give these 4 different blessings to different personalities? Then this Rishi said, this prince or a Rajkumar, he has lot of wealth. He's very handsome. So he's enjoying his life. But immediately after his death, he's going to hell. Therefore, I'm just prolonging his life. As long as he can enjoy in this world, let him enjoy. Because after quitting this body, he's going to hell. Therefore, I gave him a blessings. Better you live, Chiram Jiva. And the Muni Kumar or a brahmachari, he is going through so much of penances, austerities and suffering. But after leaving this body, he is going to the spiritual world. So therefore, as early as possible, he should die and go to the spiritual world. And the third person, butcher, who is an animal killer, I gave him a blessings, Ma Jiva, Ma Mara. You neither live nor die. Because after leaving this body, he is 100% sure going to hell. And even living in this world, he is already living in hellish condition. He is slaughtering so many animals. So whether he is living or dying, he is already in hellish condition. Therefore, neither he should live nor he should die. And the 4th personality, the saintly lady, she is so much absorbed in Krishna's service. So Jivova Marova. So why after quitting the body, she will go to the spiritual world and she will serve Krishna. And even while living in this body, she is already serving Krishna. So it doesn't matter. So those who are completely detached from this world, for them, whether they are living in this world or living in the spiritual world, doesn't matter. Just like air. Air not attached to anything. Sometimes the air passes over the waterfalls. So while the air is passing over, it also carries some sprinkles or moistures or molecules of water, and then air goes ahead. Then sometimes this air passes through a beautiful gardens, and all the fragrance of the lotus flower, rose flowers gets mixed in the air. Sometimes the air travels or passes through a filthy place. So all that foul smell, unpleasant smell also gets mixed in the air. But the special quality of the air is not attached to anything. Air carries that beautiful aroma or a foul smell only for short distance, and after some time it drops it down. Whether it's a good smell or a bad smell or a moisture or whatever, it remains with the air only for short time, and then air itself it drops it down. No more relationship with you. Completely detached. So similarly, if we learn this lesson, so whatever we do in this world, just as a duty, without becoming attached to anything or anyone. So that is the quality our Avadut Brahmin, he learned from the wind. One time there was a king, and he had his minister. They were like a very close friend, but there was a difference of opinion between them. The king always was boasting, I am the doer, everything happens because of me. But the minister was a devotee of Krishna. He would say, no, Krishna is the doer and Krishna is most merciful. So one time this king met with an accident and he lost his finger. So then king asked this minister, is it Krishna's mercy? He said, yes, Krishna is very kind to you. Krishna is very merciful to you. And the king became very angry. He put him behind the bar in the prison. And then when the minister was in the prison, this king went to the jungle, forest for hunting. And somehow that he was separated from his soldiers, warriors, and he was alone. So then there were a gang of bandits in the forest. So they ambushed this king and tied him like a sacrificial animal and brought in front of the Kali, goddess Kali. So now they were about to sacrifice this king in front of the Kali, but one of the bandits, he understood that this one of the finger of the king is missing. So his body is incomplete. So therefore he is not fit for a sacrifice of Mother Kali. So he was released. So immediately the king came back and he went to the prison house, he released his minister and he said, yes, now I understand Krishna is very, very merciful. So whatever we do, we should see Krishna's hands in everything. That Avadut Brahman learned from the wind or air. So the third is sky. Oh, we already discussed this sky, right? Okay. Sky doesn't get mixed with anything. So Vyasa Tirtha, one of the Acharya in Madhva Sampradaya, he had many disciples. So one day he called upon all the disciples and he wanted to take the taste of their practical understanding of the scriptures. So he gave banana to each disciple and he said, you please go and eat this banana where no one is watching you. While eating banana, nobody should watch you. So some of the disciples, they went to some deep caves, they ate the banana and came back. Some of the disciples, they went underneath the water, they ate the banana and came back. Only one disciple, Kanakadas, he came with the banana. So then Vyasatirtha asked him, oh, you didn't find any place where nobody is watching you? He said, no, sir. Wherever I went, I saw Krishna is watching me. So he saw Krishna's presence everywhere, every nook and corner of the world. So just like nowadays we have CCTV cameras everywhere. Everyone is under the surveillance of CCTV. Just imagine if ordinary people can make this arrangement of CCTV cameras everywhere. God also has his TV cameras, CCTV cameras, and he has 13 cameras. Those 13 cameras are, and nobody can escape from those cameras. Sun, moon, fire, air, land, water, directions, day, night, and super soul. So in this way, these 13 cameras are CCTV cameras of God. They are the witness for all the activities. So, but only the thieves are afraid of these CCTV cameras. Those who are sincere, genuine people, those who don't have any selfish motives, for them it doesn't matter whether the camera is here or there, anywhere. But those who want to steal something, those thieves, they are afraid of CCTV cameras, isn't it? But for a devotee, it is not a fearful situation. It is actually a great hope for a devotee. When you see there are CCTV cameras everywhere, that means whatever I am going through, whatever suffering, whatever situation I am going through, Krishna knows everything. He has the cameras everywhere, so I don't have to worry. So there is a great hope for all the devotees that there are 13 cameras of Krishna. So this is a lesson Avadut Brahmana learned from the sky. And the fourth is water. Water is very pure and also gentle by nature. So whoever comes in contact with water gets purified. Similarly, a devotee of Krishna, they are also devotees of Krishna, they are also very pure. And whoever comes in contact with the devotees, they also become purified. So, therefore, darshane pavitra karo yahi tomar gun. Simply by looking at the devotees, simply by taking darshan of the devotees, one becomes purified. Prabhupada travelled all over the world 14 times. And wherever Prabhupada went, wherever he placed his lotus feet, that place became a tirtha. Tirtha kuruvanti tirthani. Simply by placing his lotus feet, that ordinary place turned into holy place. Darshane pavitra karo yahi tomar gun. Krishna says that I will cut off my own arms if these arms are becoming hostile in a devotee's life. So I will personally cut off my arms. And you will see the example. Yadavas, Yaduvanshis, they offended Durvasa Muni. And Krishna arranged. All the Yadavas were destroyed, finished. Narad Muni also explained to Vyasadeva that in his previous lives he was a son of maid servant. And simply by accepting the remnants of Bhaktivedantas or pure devotees, now he is Narad Muni. So this is the fourth lesson he learned from the... Now the fifth is fire. What is the lesson he learned from the fire? Fire consumes everything. Even if that substance is contaminated, but still fire remains pure. If a fire consumes a contaminated substance, that doesn't mean that fire also becomes contaminated. It always remains pure. But only like a pure devotees only can act like a fire. Whatever they eat, they can remain pure. But it is not true in all the cases. Even Chanakya Pandit, he says, Dipo bhakshete dhwantam kajjalam cha prasuyate yadannam bhakshaye nityam chayate tadrashi prajaha. When a lamp eats darkness, it also produces black soot. Although lamp is also pure, but it's little fire, and when it eats darkness, it's tamogun, in mode of ignorance, therefore it also produces black soot. That means whatever we eat, it directly has effect in our consciousness. In Mahabharata, the story comes of these two brothers, these two Brahmin brothers, Yaja and Upayaja. So one of the king wanted to perform some karma kandi sacrifice yajna. So he approached Yaja and he said, would you like to do this karma kandi yajna on my behalf? Yaja said, no sir, I am not interested. But you can approach my brother Upayaja and he will definitely do it. Then king said, how can you give such a guarantee? He said, 2 days back my brother Upayaja, he ate a fruit from the bhumi and the source of that fruit was unknown. How did the fruit came from? He didn't know. The source of the fruit is unknown, therefore he has become contaminated. He has lost his purity and he can do that karma kandi yajna on your behalf. Of course, this is a Kali Yuga standard, Satya Yuga standard. In Kali Yuga, still we should try to, as much as whenever we eat anything, we should try to find out the source of the food, and also it should be offered to Krishna. One time Prabhupada went to one life member's house, and Prabhupada and all the other Prabhupada disciples, they ate sumptuously, they ate nice food. Later on they came to know that that food was not offered. So Prabhupada started chastising his disciples. He said, why did you didn't inform me before? If that food was not offered, you would have not eaten it. So Prabhupada wanted to give this indirect hint to all of us, that if that food is not offered to Krishna, one should not eat. So the example is given, when we do that video shooting, so while doing that video shooting, the object of the shooting is transformed in the wave format, and those waves are sent through the antenna to the television set, and again in the television all those waves format again transform into object. So similarly, when the cook is cooking, so while cooking their consciousness also get mixed in the food, and then through that waves format it also enters into the belly of those who are eating it or honoring it, and they will also get affected by the food. And the sixth lesson, Avadut Brahmana learnt from the ocean or a sea. Very beautiful. Ocean or a sea. During the rainy season, hundreds of rivers enter into the body of ocean with millions of gallons of water. And during the hot season or summer season, all the rivers are dried up and no water enters into the ocean. But ocean does not cross its limit. Ocean doesn't overfloods because of the so many rivers are entering into this course, or because of the summer season there is no water entering into the ocean. That doesn't mean that ocean has become dried up. Ocean always remains peaceful and calm. So whether the situation is happiness or disgusting, ocean remains equipoised in all the situation. Similarly, devotees of Krishna, they are also equipoised in all the situation, whether the situation is very pleasing or detestful or disgusting. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochiti na kangshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. A devotee of Krishna is always satisfied, no hankering, no lamentation. So there was one sage, he was traveling, so he went to one village and he saw all those members of this village were very, very pure-hearted, kind-hearted, advanced Vaishnavas. So after seeing them, this sage Rishi became so pleased and he gave them blessings. Let there be famine in this village. Now famine means everyone will die if there is no supply of food, there will be supply of water. But then he cursed that village. Let there be famine in this village. So he went to the next village and he saw in that village practically everyone was like a demoniac person. No trace of any devotion. Then he gave blessings to them. Let this village prosper. Let this village flourish with all the facilities. So now the disciples said, my dear sir, why did you give these blessings and curses? In the devotees' village you curse that let there be famine. So then this sage said, because those devotees of Krishna, they are all staying together. And if there is a famine, there is no supply of food and water, then they will all get scattered. They will all go to different places. They will travel to different places. And wherever they will go, they will also make devotees in those places. Because they are so pure. But these demoniac people, they should not go anywhere. They should just stay in this same village and say they should die. Therefore, if there is a prosperity, there is all facilities, then they will not go travel anywhere. Therefore, I have given these blessings to them. So this is the quality Avadhut Brahman learned from the sea or a ocean. Now seventh is moon. By looking at the moon, what did he learn? Just as apparent waxing and waning of the moon does not affect moon itself. We will see the changes in the size of a moon, waxing and the waning. Sometimes the moon is growing or sometimes moon is reducing in the size. But it directly doesn't affect the moon. It's only illusion, that waxing and the waning. It's our eyes. Moon is not affected by the waxing and the waning. So similarly, there are 6 types of changes take place in the body. Birth, growth, it produces byproducts, it maintains for some time, then it dwindles, and finally there is a death. So there are the 6 stages for the body, or 6 changes in the body. But soul is not affected by these 6 changes. Only the body is going through all these suffering or changes. There was one king named Shuddhodhan, and he had a son, beautiful son. His name was Siddhartha. So at the time of the birth of Siddhartha, an astrologer told the king that your son, either he will become a righteous king or he will be a great sannyasi. So naturally, Shuddhodhan didn't want his son to become a sannyasi. Therefore, he made a special arrangement. There was a beautiful palace created for Siddhartha, and there were all types of facilities created in that palace. All the beautiful ladies and handsome men were around, surrounded by. They were all surrounded him. There were all types of facilities. No misery at all, no suffering in that place or palace. So Siddhartha remained in that palace for 29 years and he enjoyed. He had no clue or idea of any suffering of this world. So one day Siddhartha expressed his desire and he told his chariot driver, I want to see the city. Please take me to the city. So as he was traveling the city, he saw one person, very old, crippled-bodied, fragile-bodied man, hunchbacked, very, very old. He was walking with the help of his stick. First time he saw someone old man, some old person. Next he went ahead and he saw there was one person lying on a bed. He was coughing. There was a chronic disease, severe disease to him, and he was coughing a lot. And then afterwards, finally, he saw a dead body carried by 4 persons on their shoulder. and many were walking behind, mourning and crying and weeping. So now Siddhartha, he approached one saintly person and he said, "My dear sir, please explain to me what is this? I have never seen this before." Then that saintly person explained to Siddhartha that whoever has taken birth in this world, they have to go through these four stages: birth, old age, disease and death. So then Siddhartha asked him whether I will also go through these four stages. He said yes. And immediately Siddhartha left. He didn't go back to the palace. He left, and later on he became famous Gautam Buddha or Buddha. So in this way, so death is inevitable. When Prabhupada, first time Ambrish Prabhu met Prabhupada, and he said, there were a lot of discussion happening between Ambrish Prabhu and Prabhupada. So finally Prabhupada said, "Oh, you are a great grandson of Henry Ford?" He said, "Yes." Then Prabhupada said, "Now where is he? Where is Henry Ford?" So then he said, "He already left." So then finally Prabhupada brought him to the spiritual platform, that whoever is born, whether the person is most famous or wealthy, fabulously rich, whoever the person is, if he is born, there must be death. So at the time of death, one should remember Krishna. Like Parikshit Maharaj, before even death approached him, he had already quitted his body. At the time of death, Parikshit Maharaj remembered Krishna. Gajendra, at the time of death, he remembered Krishna. Ajamil remembered Krishna. Haridas Thakur, while quitting his body, he held Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet on his chest, and while seeing the beautiful form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he left this world. Srila Prabhupada also, he was very satisfied while quitting his body, leaving his body, and he remembered Krishna. So all the devotees, Antakale Chamameva Smarana Buddha Kalevaram, at the time of death they remembered Krishna. But there was one king, his name was Napoleon. But at the time of death he remembered his wife, and loudly shouting his wife's name, he died. So devotees also will leave their bodies, and non-devotees also will leave their bodies. But there is a gulf of difference between these two. The example is given like a cat. Cat carries the kitten in her mouth, and in the same mouth she carries a rat. So for a kitten, those jaws of the cat, those teeth of the cat is like a protection. But for a rat, it's a death personified, Yamaraj. So although both will die, but devotees of Krishna, because they remember Krishna, after leaving this body they will go to the spiritual world. So the eighth lesson he learned from the sun planet. And today purport also Prabhupada writes about the sun. Very beautiful point. Sun evaporates the water from all the water bodies, whether it is a lake, river or an ocean. He collects the water, evaporates the water from the lake, river or ocean, and he does not keep it to himself. He returns it back again. If he takes 1% of the water from the rivers or a lake or an ocean, he gives it back 10 times more. And the most important quality is, see, most of the time he evaporates the water from the ocean, and ocean's water is salty water. Sun evaporates or drinks or collects salty water from the ocean, and he gives back very sweet water. That is his nature. So the devotees are, when someone hurls abusing words to devotees, in return they shower their loving affection or affection towards non-devotees. The example is given. Whatever resources a devotees receive from Krishna, they use it everything in Krishna's service. Pandavas, after establishing Indraprastha, they wanted to perform Rajasuya Yajna. And what for? What was the purpose of performing Rajasuya Yajna? there were two purposes. The first is whatever they had or whatever they collected from all over the world, they wanted to profusely distribute to all the needy people. And second most important principle is they wanted to glorify Krishna. So whatever resources Krishna had given to them, they wanted to use everything in Krishna's glorification for Krishna's worship. So by performing that Rajasuya Yajna, where practically people or at least kings from all over the world were present in that assembly, and then they gave that Agra Puja, the first worshipable place, most worshipable place for Krishna. In this way, whatever they have in their life, they use it for Krishna's service. Like Ambarish Maharaj, although he was the emperor of the world, but he used all his resources in Krishna's service. The ninth lesson he learned from honey thief. The honeybees, they collect the honey, hard working. They work so hard to collect the honey and they store it in one place in the beehive. But honey thief, within a matter of some minutes, takes away everything. He takes away all the honey from the honeybees. Because we may work hard and try to enjoy, but actually, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva lokam maheshwaram. Krishna is the enjoyer. God is the enjoyer of all the activities. So when one understands this, then one cooperates with Krishna's plan. Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. Just like a driver, he is a very pauper. He is not a wealthy person. He cannot afford of purchasing a Mercedes car, 1 crore rupees, 2 crore rupees Mercedes car. He cannot afford that. But because he is cooperating with the owner of the Mercedes car, he also receives the same facilities like the owner. Owner is sitting behind the car and he is sitting in the front seat. So whatever facilities the owner has in the Mercedes car, the same facilities are provided even to the driver, because he is assisting or serving his master. So similarly, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva lokam maheshwaram. Krishna is he is the enjoyer of everything. So when a devotee, they also serve Krishna, then naturally they also become happy like Krishna. Ravana performed such a severe austerities, tapasyas. He works really so hard. And finally, he got so many benedictions from Brahmaji, and he also received, of course, he snatched away the Kubera's Lanka. But then he couldn't maintain for long. Lord Ram killed Ravana and gave that Lanka, the city, to Vibhishan. Vibhishan didn't do anything, but Vibhishan simply surrendered at the lotus feet of Lord Ram, and therefore he got all those facilities. That means simply by cooperating with the devotee, cooperating with the Krishna, one can enjoy his life. That is a lesson Avadut Brahman learned from honeybee, not honeybee, honey thief. The 10th is, I'm going fast. There is a Kurura bird or Kurura hawk. So one time this Kurura bird, he was carrying a piece of meat in its beak. As soon as the other hawks, they saw this one bird had a piece of meat, they all pounced upon it. They all attacked him. Now he understood the danger of his life. He immediately gave that piece of meat, became detached from that piece of meat, and then he relished or enjoyed real happiness. Because in this world there is so much of competition. Therefore one should not be attached to anything, because attachment creates the misery. Attachment is the real cause of suffering. Dhritarashtra was the son of Vyasadeva. He had a strength of 10,000 elephants in his arms. A really powerful man. But because he was attached to Duryodhana, the whole humanity So many people died because of this attachment to one fellow. Illogical attachment. Dronacharya was attached to his son Ashwathama. Although he was almost like a self-realized Brahmin, but he was so attached to his own son. As long as Ashwathama was alive, he was living, he fought a war with full vigor. As soon as he came to know that his son is no more, he is dead, left his body, he just gave up his weapons. So he was so attached. So Dhritarashtra was attached to Duryodhan, Dronacharya was attached to Ashwathama, but we'll see the example. At Srivas Angan, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing Sankirtan Yajna, Srivas' sons died in the room. All the ladies were crying. When Srivas Thakur came to know, Srivas Thakur went inside the room and he warned them, if you cry and if the sound of your noise of your cry, if disturbs Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Harinam Sankirtan, then at the same moment I'll tie up a big rock around my neck and I'll drown into the Gangas. So all the ladies kept quiet. Nobody was crying anymore. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to know, Srivas, your son died and you did not even inform me. See the difference between Dronacharya, Dhritarashtra and Srivas Thakur. Although his son died, but he was detached. Classic example. Draupadi Mai, he had some idea that at the end of the war, her sons also will die. She knew that. But because it was Krishna's desire to establish dharma, to establish the religious principles in this world, therefore she was ready to sacrifice even her own sons. So because the attachment, one should be attached to, one can be attached to anything, but that attachment also should be through Krishna. Sanatana Goswami ji, when he escaped from the prison, he started running towards Jagannath Puri through the forest, and he was accompanied by a servant. So one place Sanatana Goswami was received. One owner of the hotel, he was extra like kind of a friendly person. He invited him, he was welcoming him. Sanatana Goswami could understand there is some fishy things here. So then he asked his servant, do you have any gold coins with you? He said, yes, I have 7 gold coins. He said, please give it to this owner. So he handed over. Then afterwards, again they started their journey. But then Sanatana Goswami also came to know that he is still carrying 1 gold coin with him. Then Sanatana Goswami said, now you can no longer join me, you go back to Bengal. Now I will travel alone. So attachment to this world is a real cause of suffering. The last one is the young girl. Within 2 minutes I'll explain. So there are many, but this is the 11th one we are learning. What lessons Avadhut Brahman learned from the young girl or unmarried lady? In a town there was one unmarried lady, and she really wanted to get married to a nice boy, husband. She was looking for a husband. So one day, some distinguished guest arrived at her place. They belonged to a rich family, and she also had desire to get married to that boy. But being a poor, she had to do all the household duties alone, cooking, washing the vessels and everything. So while doing that household duties, because she was wearing a bangles on her wrist, so while doing that household duties, all the bangles were jingling and they were creating some noise. So she removed all the bangles and she just kept one on each hand, and she completed her task. So Avadhut Brahmana says, so whenever a group of people come together, there has to be some conflict. Even amongst the devotees group, there has to be some conflict. Everyone has their own opinions, their own ego, their philosophical conviction. But no problem. If we keep Krishna in the center, then we can become successful. So Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he was in Himalaya, and he says, his only Radhanath Swami Maharaj, when he was in Himalaya, he says that in Himalaya he saw only leopards, snakes, and some other animals, but there were no human beings. So therefore there were no conflicts. But as soon as he came to Delhi, then he encountered many samasyas, many problems, because of dealing with a human being. But doesn't matter, Radhanath Swami Maharaj didn't go back to Himalaya, because there was a higher principle. Even if there is some conflict, but because there is a service of Krishna, and Himalaya there was no service to Krishna, so therefore Maharaj remained in the city. So what lesson we can learn? That if we keep Krishna in the center of our activities, then there will be great happiness. So finally, one little example, if you throw one stone in the lake, that stone creates ripples or circles. And if you keep adding or throwing hundreds of stones in the same place, it will also create many ripples. But if you throw even one stone in a different place, then that ripples will clash to these previous ripples. So similarly, in our family, if everyone is centered around Krishna's service, serving Krishna, then our life will be blissful and successful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.